Arkansas really stepped it up with gold and silver, and they're taking it to the next level. I'll explain how and why as we explore. Now, for those of you who've been keeping up with the revolution for sound money, it's kind of like a battle, and we have lost a few battles, with some states implementing taxes yet again on precious metals, and some states letting some of the legislation expire so that those taxes come back into effect. But instead, Arkansas is taking it in another direction. They have amped up a 2023 law that recognized gold and silver as legal tender. And that's very, very good news. For those of you who live in Arkansas, you should rejoice. But nonetheless, there's a lot of more work to do. But it is great to see states moving in this direction. And I can only hope that as inflation continues to persist, and even if it doesn't, we need to set ourselves up as independent states so that we can have gold and silver as constitutional yet again. I'll explain more about that later. But a law expanding the state's legal tender status and clearing the way for payments to and from the state in gold and silver is now in effect as of the 5th of August. House Bill 1918 builds on a 2023 law that recognized gold and silver specie as legal tender, expanding it to explicitly recognize gold and silver as a medium to pay private debts, taxes, and fees levied by the state or local government if the state or local government agrees to payment with physical gold or silver. So it frees them to be able to pay some of those taxes and debts in gold and silver. Now, it may not sound like a big step, but nonetheless, it does expand on that law and really sets up a case for being able to have gold and silver be recognized statewide. And my friends at Summit Metals, they have a lot of the gold and silver that you see on your screen here. So check them out. They've got a great selection, awesome customer service, and fast shipping. Elevate your wealth with Summit Metals. So under the new law, which was sponsored by Representative Mindy McElendon and 3 co-sponsors, the Arkansas Chief Fiscal Officer is required to promulgate rules to contract with a bullion depository and to authorize and approve a precious metal-backed electronic system for vendors to do business within the state. Another positive move in that direction, because really, like it or not, most of us are probably not going to be carrying around gold and silver coins in our pocket. And a lot of us do use digital transactions. Now, for me, I'm a cash guy, and I'm a coin guy as well, too. But nonetheless, I would probably be carrying some of this stuff or RM notes, something such as the gold back or something equivalent. But there are definitely be nice to see different options out there, even in the digital realm. And of course, obviously, it's only as good as the people behind whatever it may be. So we just have to hope that Arkansas will do it right. And I think they will, much like I think Florida will as well. Now, this law sets up a system for the state to make and receive these payments in both gold and silver, using both as money rather than a mere investment vehicle. That's right, transactional. And by the way, just because gold and silver can be transactional does not mean that they should not be saved, because like any kind of money, including bad money like this currency, you should save some of this for a rainy day, for a much needed repair, so that you don't have to liquidate this. And if you're going to use some sort of payment system based off of gold and silver, you should still hold physical gold and silver in your possession as the ultimate savings vehicle. Because like I said, no matter what happens, humans can get involved and muck things up from time to time. And gold and silver in your possession can never be corrupted. That's right. The price may change and fluctuate, but nonetheless, they, in the long run, and if done right, will preserve your wealth. Now, this law sets this up for having them to expand the use of gold and silver in the state. But the Senate unanimously approved the bill 1918 by a 33-0 vote. The House passed the measure by an 89-1 vote, with Governor Huckabee Sanders' signature on April 17th, and the law just went into effect on August the 5th. So let's talk a little bit about how this will be in practice. The passage of HB 1918 represents another step against the fiat-based Federal Reserve System by creating a foundation to pull the rug out from under it on the state and local level. In essence, it would set up the stage for the people themselves to undermine the Federal Reserve's monopoly by introducing competition into the monetary system legally, federally legally as well too. Getting to that in a moment. The next big step will be for the people to actually start taking advantage of the status of gold and silver as money by using both of it instead of Federal Reserve notes in some of these cases. So it's really up to the people now. The legislation frees the people to be able to use it. It's a matter of education, which may be the biggest hurdle yet in the type of society we live in these days. The effect has been the most dramatic in Utah, where the Specie Legal Tender Act opened the door for the development of a robust gold and silver economy with the state, with some legal hurdles cleared the way for the state's legal tender law. And then that is what led to the creation of the goldback. These goldbacks will be released in other states to come, but so far the latest is Oklahoma and Arizona, and Florida has received theirs as well too. And it's a great way to transact with gold, and of course silver coins and gold coins too, depending on the size you can utilize. Because remember, this is a coin. This is actually a coin that actually used to circulate back in the day when it was minted in 1927. Now these were not spent nearly as much for obvious reasons, because $20 was a lot of money back then. People didn't really carry a whole lot of these, but they were, and the smaller cousins of it were as well too. The eagle, the half eagle, and the quarter eagle. Then you have the constitutional silver coin, like this $50, circulated back in the day too. In fact, silver circulated as money up until 1964. That was the last year that silver was in our coins. Yea, though, in 1965, more 1964 quarters were minted to deplete that supply of silver. But nonetheless, it is a way, and it can happen again. And it's fascinating to see this, to see what's happening. New Hampshire also boasts a thriving gold and silver economy. While the state does not officially recognize bullion as legal tender, this has not deterred thousands of residents from using it in private transactions, because there's no state tax barriers on precious metals. A favorable tax climate combined with a population willing to embrace sound money has positioned New Hampshire as another model for others to follow. And so that is essentially what it is all about, folks. Spending your gold and silver and saving it as well. Now, this all goes back to the legal ramification. The legal backing for this is under our Constitution. Article 1, Section 10, Article 1, Section 10, which states no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender of payments of debts. Currently, all debts and taxes in most states are either paid with Federal Reserve notes or dollars, which are authorized as legal tender by Congress, or with coins issued by the U.S. Treasury, very few of which have gold or silver in them. In fact, the only ones that do are the ones that do not circulate, and they're minted by the United States for bullion purposes or for collectible purposes. This is a bullion gold coin, which has the same design as the old classic St. Gaudens gold double eagle, but this is a modern version with the eagle on the reverse here. The revised design in 2021, during half of that year, came into being. And then you have the silver eagle, which is the most popular bullion coin on the planet. No other coin even comes close. And this one has a classic heraldic eagle on the reverse by John Mercanti. And this coin is special in so much that it is the most recognized on the planet, even though it may not be the most popular, depending on which country you live in. Obviously, the Britannias are more popular in the United Kingdom and other coins in your nation, but these are still very, very popular, and there's more of these minted every year than any other coin, any other bullion coin on the planet. But nonetheless, those would be legal tender for transactions if this law is actually put into practice by residents there in the state of Arkansas. Now, this not only, if the Federal Reserve destroys the constitutional monetary system by creating a monopoly based on its own fiat paper currency. Without the backing of gold and silver, the central bank can easily create money out of thin air. They do that even on the back end, even on the front end. They do it. They basically mostly digitize that, by the way. They're not actually printing. Well, they are printing too, but they're digitizing mostly. This not only devalues your purchasing power over time, it allows the federal government to borrow and spend far beyond what would be possible in a sound money system. Without the Fed, the U.S. government wouldn't be able to maintain all of its unconstitutional programs and wars. The Federal Reserve is the engine that drives the most powerful government in the history of the world. State bills facilitate and encourage the use of sound money, creating a level playing field where people can push back against the Fed's monetary malfeasance. It could create a scenario where people can drive out the bad fiat money with good, sound money. That's exactly right. That's what it's about, folks, because we're being punished with a hidden tax of inflation. And the time that I first showed this dollar in this video compared to where I'm showing it now, it has already lost a fraction of a value, and it's insane. But nonetheless, we can preserve our wealth, and gold and silver do that. Although you got to be strategic about it. In most cases, this year it's done very well, and it's actually both metals have performed more like an investment, a good investment, rather than not. So there you have it. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. Fascinating indeed. Contact your legislatures in your states if you don't have anything like this going on there, and let them know you want gold and silver to be free from taxation, and you want them to be legal tender in those states. So I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.